Have you ever noticed just how much your child watches you, especially in the moments you're not fully aware of? Not just what you say, but how you respond, how you handle stress, how you carry yourself when things feel uncertain. Because in a world that feels unstable, you are their point of reference, point of steadiness. I'm Shelly Dalival, mom, a former healthcare worker, and someone learning how to raise a child with clarity in a time that often feels confusing. This is the Kali Yuga Compass, a space for moms who want to understand what's happening without fear and without the noise. In the last episode, we talked about how confusing these times can feel. Today, we are going to look at something more practical. What actually keeps our children steady in an unsteady world? The Vedic scriptures from ancient India say that even in times of confusion, wisdom is never completely lost. It's preserved, carried forward through what are known as the Chiranjeevis, seven immortal beings said to have existed across ages, remaining on earth as quiet watchers and guardians. Not to control the world, but to ensure that a thread of clarity, of dharma, is never completely lost. And this matters because dharma isn't something distant and abstract. Dharma has to be lived in real time through real people. And one of the primary ways it continues today is through us moms. Not in a grand or visible way, but in the everyday moments where we choose how to respond, what to prioritize, and what to pass on. Children don't learn from what we say, they learn from how we hold ourselves when things feel uncertain. I remember when my daughter was an infant. My husband was working long hours. We didn't have much family support around us. And if I'm honest, I had no idea what I was doing. There were moments where everything felt uncertain. And in that space, I realized I didn't have to control everything, but I could control how I showed up, how steady I stayed, how I responded, how I held my daughter, even when I felt unsure. And that steadiness became the only thing I could rely on. Looking back, that mattered more than having all the answers, because what my daughter felt wasn't whether I knew everything, it was whether I was steady. When we stay calm under pressure, when we pause instead of reacting, when we choose clarity over overwhelm, this is how dharma continues. This is how stability is passed on. The names of the seven immortal Chiranjeevis we mentioned before are Hanuman, Parashurama, Vibhishana, Kripacharya, Ashwathama, Bali, and Vyasa. Each Chiranjeevi represents a quality, a way of staying aligned that you can actually live. You don't need to remember their names, just notice what resonates. Devotion, showing up with care even when you're tired. Discipline, choosing response over reaction. Courage, standing for what is right, even when it's uncomfortable. Wisdom, guiding through small, everyday moments. Awareness, recognizing that actions carry consequences. Humility, letting go of ego when it gets in the way. Truth, choosing honesty even when it's inconvenient. You don't need to get this perfect. You're already living parts of this every day. Because as a mom, this isn't symbolic. You're in it. In the way you respond when you're overwhelmed, in the way you pause instead of react, in the way you guide your children through small everyday moments. And the more you recognize this, the more intentionally you can strengthen it. Think of the Chiranjeevis like steady lanterns in a thick fog. They don't remove the fog, they don't light everything up, but they give enough light to stop you from losing your way. And maybe that's the shift we need to make. not chasing certainty, but strengthening clarity. If this is an age of confusion, then our role isn't to control the world, it's to create clarity within it for our children, for our families. Because before school, before social media, before outside influences, our child is learning how to see the world through us, how we respond, how we handle stress, what we give our attention to. That becomes their blueprint. So, as moms, our role isn't small, it's foundational. You don't need to fix the world. You don't need to do everything perfectly. Just choose one point of steadiness each day. Pause before reacting, even for a few seconds. Protect a small pocket of calm. Speak truth clearly and kindly. These are not small things, they shape your child's internal world. Your clarity becomes their protection. Your presence becomes their guidance. Your calm becomes their safety. Because in a time that feels uncertain, your clarity, presence, and calm are what your children need the most. I'm Shelly Dalival, and this is the Kali Yuga Compass.